what's up you guys, this is Rob from the Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Quick Draw, we're sliding in for a little penetration when we take a look at the Boltace. Now this was teased at the Design Council quite a while ago and fits into the themed weapon category, drawing influence from the Boltor and Bolto series of weapons. This new set of tonfas continue the statistical themes of its predecessors, featuring high base damage focused in puncture and a lack of supplemental stats, which makes it good but kinda boring build-wise. So the real question is, can the Boltace prove that it's just as interesting as it looks? Now, you can pick up the Boltace's blueprints in the market for 20,000 credits. Just keep in mind that it will require a fully built Boltor and Cronin as its component cost. And in addition, it will require you to be Mastery Rank 2 to craft. Now, for you weapon hoarders out there who wouldn't dare lose a weapon in your precious collection, you can always pick this up pre-built along with a weapon slot and a catalyst for 200 plat. So the big thing about the Boltace is the fact that its primary damage type is puncture, with a small splash of slash and impact, making this one in a very small pool of puncture weapons. Now as we know, puncture works quite well against armored units, but does suffer against shielded targets. So as always, be sure to apply the appropriate elemental combos in order to ensure the optimal amount of damage. So as I had said, there's nothing statistically fantastic about the Boltace. It's a pretty straightforward weapon, has a decent amount of status and hits hard, but in turn trades a little speed for its impressive base damage. However, to be honest, upon calculating its DPS in comparison to the Cronin, which is considerably faster, there's only approximately a 7-point difference between base rank, and a 165-point difference with it optimized for a single elemental combo, which honestly isn't a massive difference in later levels. However, there is a pretty substantial spike in damage when it comes to slide attacks, as the Boltace is currently rocking 510 unmodded damage, which is the most devastating slide attack currently in-game. So as long as you're acclimated to the speed and animation, you can inflict some heavy penetration. Beyond that, the only real thing to discuss is the fact that this is a puncture-based weapon that is not absolute shit, which is a rarity among the like. Now, for all intents and purposes, puncture is my go-to damage type when I'm soloing or in public groups, as it's granted a damage bonus against armor. However, if you're running with a coordinated group that runs 4 corrosive projections in higher end missions, which honestly is only about 5 to 10% of the time I play, that's when I'd lean towards slash-based weapons, and that's why the Boltace is so good. Frankly, it's not top end, but it is quite usable, and it's a nice break from heavy weapons and swords. Now, speaking of being usable, can we talk? Okay, so boring and attractive isn't necessarily my long-term cup of tea. In fact, I don't actually like tea. However, when you're thirsty as all hell and just need something down your throat, boring and attractive can do the job just fine. And for me, that's kind of where the Boltace stands. It looks pretty cool, deals a decent amount of damage, and has a couple interesting moves under its belt. It's nice because there's not much to consider when modding for it. It has no crazy mechanics to work around, other than the fact that he is a little slow. You just make sure that he hits as hard as you want, as often as you want. Because while he may not be the dirtiest like the Skoliak or the dual Icor, while he may not be fast enough for some quickies like the dual Zoran, or have the kind of moves that leave people on their backs like Temple Royale or Crushing Ruin, you can still fuck the shit out of boring and attractive. You just don't have to marry him. But then again, who am I to offer marital advice? Let's get back to the Quick Draw. So all in all, while the Boltace is a bit on the dull side, admittedly it has its uses. Being one of the few puncture melee weapons in game gives it a slight edge when facing the Grineer or Corrupted when you're not in an organized group. With enough practice, you can use that slide damage to take down priority targets as it has such a high base damage. And in general, it's nice to use a different moveset just to mix it up a little. While it has no innate polarities, equipping its one and only stance should allow you to put together something substantial. Because let's face it, if you're gonna be boring, you might as well be easy. So thank you all for watching another episode of The Quick Draw. If you missed it, be sure to check out my previous Quick Draws on the Atomos and the Daikyu. Now don't forget to do all the things that I asked you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay tuned for more of the thirst, here at A Gay Guy Plays.
Give unto the void. How about I scalpel off your little danglers and give them unto the void, What do you think about that idea, Neffy?
Okay, is it just me, or do you sense a little sexual tension here? Oh, you know they fucked.